In brightest day, in blackest night, all other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellows scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation. Chad and Marge face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the light.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Vogelman.
I'm Mark Marble.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 355.
Special handicap edition.
I suppose. And maybe in more ways than one. And that's a joke, people. We don't want letters. Well, we don't get letters anyway, so maybe we do want letters.
The reason we told you guys the plan was to come back and cover the Silver Age issue this episode, and it was going to release as you hear this last Friday, but that didn't happen because I threw out my back again. Yes, again. It's a vicious cycle. In order to alleviate the pressure that is on my spine, I need to lose weight. And in order to lose weight, I need to work out. And in order to lose weight when you work out, you got to push yourself. And if I push myself too hard, I'm going to throw out my back. So it's a vicious cycle. And I was working out doing something, and I tweaked something the wrong way. And, that's what happened. I was on painkillers, and we just couldn't record. I'm still messed up a little bit, but obviously not enough to not sound cognizant. So that's fine. And, it's... we'll see. But anyways, we recorded this episode, 2 or 3 weweeks ago, something like that.
This was the original 352, if I remember correctly. So needless to say, this is now going. There were 3 other episodes that ended up taking its place before we ended up coming back to it.
And this one was Mark's idea. He wanted to cover Green Lantern number 20. It's been long enough to where some of this stuff I forgot the original answers to, so it doesn't sound like we're repeating ourselves too badly. So initially, I think, Mark, I asked you, why did you choose this issue before we got into it? I also wanted to add, because I don't think I asked this at the time, why did you choose this issue over, say, Green Lantern number 13, which is like the first official team-up of the 2, of Green Lantern and the Flash?
Well, Chad, there's a few different reasons. First of all, even though I do have some of these in the hardcover collections I have the showcases? Is that what they are? Whatever they are, the hardcover, the color versions of all the Green Lantern appearances. I forget what the hell they are.
I don't know. The Showcase Presents is the black and white. Right, so I don't know what these are called. Plus, they've done so many different new omnibuy of the.
But you kind of know what I mean.
You have the small trades. That's what you have, right?
But they're hardcovers, though. But yes, they probably eventually they probably were released after the fact in trade paper.
Well, are they omnibus sized, or are they?
They're graphic novel sized.
Okay. So yeah, that was that the Chronicles? Is that what they call those?
Maybe. I wish I had one in front of me, but the point is, while I have a bunch of those. I have most of most of the first 4 or 5 volumes of Green Lantern. So we could have done that, and just like I think this issue I have also in one of those books. But one of the main reasons I drew my attention to it was, number one, I actually had the physical issue of this comic book. Not in great shape, as we found out when we went to record the first time, because as soon as I opened the cover, the inside's not connected to the cover anymore. But I actually have, and we're talking about Green Lantern number 20, that Silver Age, Hal Jordan Green Lantern number 20, which is April 1963. that I had this issue. I physically had this issue, and I had this issue out. I have a certain specific comics that I have out downstairs, ready to go into. Mostly, actually, and I'll have to nag Jim about this. Mostly Spectre related. So when we go back to do a pre-birth or something, that I have all that's where I have all the Spectre issues, the 1 through 27, and some of the JSA appearances of the Spectre and with Hal. And in that stack of books, which is also where I had the 80-page Giants and things like that, which is why we'll go back to one of those soon. I actually happen to have a bunch of the Silver Age issues of Hal, that I actually own. And one of those issues was Green Lantern 20, and I really liked the cover. I thought the cover was pretty. It kind of drew you in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you want to take people into it and give them a 1,000-foot recap of this issue?
As you were giving the intro, I do remember. I remembered the one thing we didn't do during the testing today was to actually make sure it's recording the entire both tracks of this conversation. Should we have faith?
Let's do it now, and I'll edit out the entire.
I just didn't want to give you any more editing, so that's kind of why I at this point I was almost willing to let it go. If there was a way I could, and if my recorder was different, where I could just by muting my mic I could listen, and then no one else would know. But alas, that's not how it works.
Well, give us a quick second here, folks, and we'll be. I don't know. I'll play "Let's All Go to the Lobby" or something. Who all knows?
Mark Marble.
And this is.
We're good.
Awesome. So now we're back.
Okay.
Into the recap. Here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. You missed the recap. On to the Avengers Endgame talk. No. All right. So the issue we're doing, as I said, is Green Lantern number 20. A team up between Barry Allen's Flash and Hal as Green Lantern. And the issue is Parasite Planet Peril, a book-length novel co-starring Green Lantern and the Flash. Back in the days when covers actually were pretty indicative of things that actually happened in the issue. More times than not. You had a little hyperbole here and there. But the reality is, this shows Barry Allen actually recharging Hal's Green Lantern ring, saying, "I've got only a moment to charge Green Lantern's power ring and save him from fading away into nothingness." And as he's saying nothingness, Hal's on his knees, basically almost on all fours, and he's fading into nothingness. Spoiler alert. All right, so let me get the. As I ever gingerly remove the issue from what's left of its cover, so sad. So this is, this is a Silver Age book because it gives you that nice in media res opening splash page, which tells you about something you're going to encounter later in the story. And this doesn't fail. It gives you a good one, though. It's Hal and Barry looking at this device which has Carol and Iris trapped in it, and one of these aliens who, of course, we're going to know they are the. Should we call them aliens? Really? They kind of sort of are, yeah. But they're small. But they're small. SMall. The Mycrids. One of the Mycrid leaders is saying it to Hal and Barry that pretty much if you use your superpowers to try to stop us, that Iris and Carol are gonna be dead. So that's something we will encounter later in the story. So the basic premise of this story, I guess we could phrase it that way. It has to do with this mysterious vanishing plague that's occurring in Coast City, and everybody's reporting on it. We see an example of what happens where somebody starts not feeling well, then they start literally becoming faint and start losing color, and before you know it, boom, they're gone. So nobody can figure out what's going on. They all come up with theories. Everything the scientists and the doctors are testing, nothing works. So they come up with a relatively, as Chad and I think agreed upon the last time we did this, a relatively solid plan, especially for a Silver Age book, in which they decided to use the powers of both Hal and Barry to try to isolate and maybe get us a solution and a cure for this plague by the next time a victim was detected and diagnosed with this disease. That Barry was going to use his super speed to get to him, bring him to the hospital. Hal was going to use his power ring to more or less try to keep to pump the power, surround this guy or girl, whoever the victim was, to try to keep them from fading away, hoping that that green energy and his ring could keep them maybe around a little bit longer than maybe that he would or he or she would normally, just so the scientists and the doctors could maybe figure out a cure for what's going on. We find out that Carol has volunteered to help in this time of crisis. Carol Ferris steps up. And also it's a nice excuse to be close to Green Lantern. Iris West is there doing her job, but not because she gives a rat's ass about the Flash, but because she's doing her job. And as far as she's concerned, she left Barry back in Central City, unfortunately, because she's got work to do here. So they find a victim. The next one pops up. Barry does exactly what he's supposed to do. Hal's trying to do what he's supposed to do. But to no avail, the victim pretty much fades away relatively quickly, and but Hal keeps fighting. Hal keeps trying to do everything he can to keep this victim of the plague from fading away completely. But as he is, Barry starts noticing that Hal starts sweating a little bit more. He starts looking more faint, and before you know it, Hal is becoming really, really weak. Barry obviously knows he's got the plague, and he breaks it to Hal that he's got the plague. Hal's so weak he can't even, recharge the ring. Barry takes him to his locker at Coast City. And again, at this point, Hal is so weak he's down in the same position we see on the cover. Barry takes Hal's ring, puts it to the power battery. Hal recites the oath. But pretty much right after that happens, Barry tries to use the ring to lift Hal up and protect him. But Hal fades away. Hal is the biggest named victim of this disease so far, of this plague. So Barry, as the Flash, of course, he breaks this to Iris and to Carol. Carol's all upset, and I guess kind of by proxy, because of what Carol's going through, Iris actually shows some emotion, because Iris tends to come across in this book certainly as a little colder fish than Carol. But the Flash points out that before he faded away, Hal kind of had this idea that some unknown microorganism could be at work here. That could be basically the cause of this plague. So Barry, the Flash, was determined to try to follow up on this hypothesis, and because he kind of owed it to Hal, just like he swore vengeance pretty much for Hal fading away. So Barry uses his knowledge, his forensic knowledge. He uses his super speed, to use this advanced electron microscope, and he takes a tissue culture from the lab from one of the victims, and he keeps magnifying it, but it's not magnified enough. But he uses Hal's ring to basically amp up the power, and he sees this weird looking alien dude who we're going to find out is a micrid, because we're looking at Micridion. And while Barry's looking at this guy, he's looking back at Barry, and he's kind of getting creeped out by him, not just because of not just because he has this evil look on his face, but just the mere fact that he seems aware of what's going on. Then all of a sudden, the alien, the micrid, disappears off the scanner, and Barry has the idea that, hey, if I use Green Lantern's ring, maybe I can basically shrink myself down small enough to basically go to where the microscope showed where the micrids were, and that's exactly what Barry does. That ends part 1. Part 2, we basically find all the people that were shrunk, or like being basically kept in not really a cell, but they're being roped off in kind of like almost like some concentration camp kind of thing, internment camp. And we kind of get a backstory on what's going on here, that the micrids basically use their psychic powers, their telepathy and everything to enslave the Bowards, which are these muscular, super strong, but obviously not overly bright, and certainly psychologically weak, mentally weak beings in their world. So the micrids use their advanced psychic powers, mental powers, to keep them in line and to do all the dirty work and the heavy lifting, literally. But sometimes after a while, the micrids end up kind of like draining their own mental batteries. So they use, and that's why this vanishing plague is going on now. They use other living creatures to pull in there, so they can basically almost like a psychic or psionic vampire, sucking all this brain waves and energy out of their victims and recharging their own batteries. And that's really what the micrids want want with all these people. It's Hal's turn to basically get his brain drained, and Hal fights back, and when Hal's taking on the micrids, all of a sudden Barry Allen shows up and says, "Hey, your power beam brought me here." And the Flash uses his super speed to kick some ass. He gives Hal his Green Lantern ring back. Hal is, while Barry takes all the remaining victims, soon to be victims, all the vanished, if you will, in the internment camp, that Barry basically runs them all out of here as far as he can. They're still in, Mycridion, but he gets them out of there. Basically, the immediate danger. Let's put it that way. Hal magnetizes all the micrids, which is kind of neat because they get attracted to the metal in the room and they all go clanging there. Hal and Barry pretty much find the room that's has the brain power draining going on, and they free one victim from that machine. Then they really, they're talking about about the Bowards and how the Bowards are slaves. At some point during this operation, they're going to have to free the Bowards. Hal and Barry end up in the headquarters of the Micrids, and that's when the Micrids pretty much now we get the tie-in to the opening splash page where the Micrids show Iris and Carol, and they brought Carol and Iris there and said, "Hey, if you use any of your powers, and you get in our way, that this Devastator, which is what they call a device, it's gonna completely destroy the two women." So Hal and Barry pretty much are being marched off with the Micrids, and they got to figure out how to get out of this. And as this part ends, Hal and Barry throw caution to the wind and go mano a mano there without using their powers to take out the 3 Micrids that are guarding them or taking them away. And of course, right at this moment, 2 other Micrids show up. Really poor timing. So part 3 begins. Barry and Hal just continue to whoop a lot of Micrid ass, and then they have to get back to the command post. When they do that, Barry basically makes a beeline for the Devastator and destroys it. Once the Devastator is destroyed, then Hal and Barry use their superpowers again. There's a nice tandem work here. One hand washes the other as Barry kind of he kind of knocks Hal out of the way before he can get blasted, and then Hal uses his power ring to protect Barry from getting shot from behind by one of the Micrids. I like the way Hal pretty much creates a giant satchel, and the Flash pretty much uses his super speed to knock all the Micrids into this construct bag. The Bowards are all free. The Bowards are all happy, and Hal and Barry pretty much say, "Hey, they're not in charge of you anymore, so we're kind of counting on you to keep them in control or keep them from basically becoming a problem again." And it's like, "We promised it's a small price to pay for our freedom." Hal and Barry go back to where the remaining vanished are in Mycridion, and they're being nursed and cared for by Carol and Iris. Hal and Barry they all end up returning back safely to Earth, and we have a interesting dinner between the 4 of them in their in their secret identities related to Hal and Barry. Everybody in civilian garb, and Carol and Iris continue to tell the story to Barry and Hal, and of course they all have to play stupid because of the fact that of course they know the story better than the girls do, but of course they just have to sit there and play along. That's the end of the recap.
Yeah, it's a very quintessential 60s story. I mean, if you couldn't tell by the Gil Kane artwork, of course, you have a lot of things like I think when we initially covered this, we were talking about how the plan is for them to go, try and help them. But in the meantime, we've got a bank of telephone girls on 24-hour duty.
Yeah, that was
specifically working the phones are the ladies. And then there's like a kind of a secondary kind of thing when Carol has to explain that she's there volunteering as a nurse. But of course, the gossip columnists will hint that I did it to be near Green Lantern, which isn't true. Not at all.
At the same point, Iris points out how much she loathes the Flash. I could get 3 pounds of monkey crap about the Flash, which I don't quite understand why. I don't quite understand the correlation there because Iris starts to say, in a way we are lucky, Carol. And I get why Carol's lucky. I don't quite get why she was lucky. Other than from writing a cool story perspective, because she seems to be not thrilled at all being around the Flash. So I still don't quite see why that's lucky. But I guess maybe that's all it is. It's just the fact that hey, I'm around a good story, and I could give two craps about this guy.
You gotta admit, though, that's probably one of the best things about Barry and Iris back then, is everybody else was doing the whole she's in love with my alter ego, she doesn't care about the real me sort of a thing, whereas Barry and Iris were completely opposite. She gave no care in the world about the Flash, but loved Barry.
That is true. It is unique. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
And I think we were also talking, you mentioned earlier, about the kind of solidness of this plan. Like, hey, they're disappearing real quick. Get the quick guy to go grab them and get them to the hospital as quickly as possible so we can get as much data as possible. And, hey, we don't know how your ring works, Green Lantern, but since you're here, let's see if it does anything. So that was actually pretty well coordinated of the people to call on the Lantern and Flash like that.
Yeah, too bad Hal shit the bed. No, it's like Barry's the hero of the story for the most part.
I'm curious as how they chose Green Lantern, or how they started to affect him, because they make it seem like this is a contagious thing, but like how did he get chosen by the Mycrids to be brought down? Was his ring actually doing something, and that's when they decided to choose him? Or
I'm not sure. It could be contagious. I mean, it could be a contagion from that perspective, and maybe Barry was a little more immune to it because of how fast he was moving. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe his metabolism is so high that it couldn't really take the effect that it would on somebody else. I don't know. I don't know if they zeroed in on Hal on purpose, or if it was just a byproduct of him being around. But it could be. It could be where maybe they were a little concerned, or maybe they were a little intrigued, at least, and they figured, hey, he's got a lot of willpower. Maybe that can help us somehow.
Right.
Charge up our brains.
Well. I guess in that way it's good, because it leaves the scientist behind with a powerful ring to figure out how to get down there and get things taken care of. So that's cool. And the way they handle it all is very well coordinated. Like I said, it's funny though. There's an ad in here for the very best Superman DC National Comics in comics reading, and it shows an advertisement for the Flash. What number is that? The Flash, maybe 136. If it's hard to tell digitally.
What page are you on? I know I saw an ad. Oh, that's right. The page numbers might not be the same. I'm flipping through. Okay. The Flash and the Atom.
Yeah, Flash and Atom. Flash looks like Flash 136, and Atom looks like maybe number 8 or 6 or something like that. It looks like a single digit.
It is hard to read. It is very hard to read.
But it's interesting, in this story where Flash and Green Lantern shrink down to this microscopic size to deal with this world unknown, they're advertising an Atom story. Sure. So that's sort of weird that we didn't have Atom in here. And it seems like they're using, Atom must have, because Atom didn't first appear in his own comic. He also got his start in Showcase, right?
I think that's correct.
So if he's then become popular enough to get his own series, the same way Green Lantern started off in Showcase in terms of the Silver Age, and then got his own series, you would think that, Gil Kane and John Broome would see this story and see it as a prime opportunity, or hell, maybe any of the editors over at DC at the time would see it as a prime opportunity. Let's get Atom. He's become popular. He's branched out of Showcase into his own title. It's still very early on. Let's keep this traction going. Let's team him up with one of our big successes at this time, Green Lantern.
That's a good possibility. I mean, that's good thinking. It's solid thinking anyway, so I'm not sure.
Who was the editor? Is it Mort Weisinger, or is this... No, this... I feel like this is too early for Julie Schwartz. It may be Julie, though.
I know it's not like the good old. I mean, not like the new old days. When Lord knows, you know every single every single person who ever even touched a piece of paper involved in making the book. Not like it was that way with with comics back then.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I know where to find it online. From a relatively reputable source. Was there anything else about this you wanted to? Because you kind of talked a bit about it while you were recapping it, but is there anything else about it you wanted to kind of point out?
Well, I do want to mention something. Like you mentioned with one of the ads, I do want to mention the ads, but it's about the actual story. I mean, this is a silver. It's typical Silver Age story from the perspective of that. Well, to be fair, this is not overly wordy. I mean, it's still wordy because that's the way the books were back then, but it's not the worst example of it. And there's a lot of exposition. There's no doubt about that. But the basic plot is pretty straightforward. It's not in the Grant Morrison style where you could read the book completely through one time, depending on the issue, and still have no clue what 90% of the shit was you just read. This is pretty straightforward. The plan seemed pretty straightforward as far as what the heroes were trying to do. From the bad guys' perspective, they did have a plan, and it kind of made a little bit of sense. So I thought just it was a fun team up. Again, it's not the first Flash and Green Lantern one. I mean, we will do that issue. We will do that. But
for sure.
But I just figured it was good. We like to do I know you like to do a lot of Flash and Green Lantern stuff too, and I happen to have this issue, so I thought it was an entertaining story, and on some levels I don't think it was as schlocky as a lot of Silver Age stuff.
Right. So yeah, I was right. Pencils obviously Gil Kane, script obviously John Broome. Inks on the cover was Murphy Anderson, and inks on the inside was Joe Giella. I forget how you say his name. Letter is Gaspar Saladino. Saladino. So all of those classic Silver Age DC names. And the editor was in fact Julie Schwartz. So. Yeah, I mean, Julie was a shrewd dude, so I would expect him to try and pitch it, or unless he thought, hey, Flash is also extremely successful. It maybe makes more sense to team up the two extremely successful people than risk trying to bring in this relatively. I mean, I hesitate to say untested because clearly he graduated from Showcase into his own series by this point, but I don't know. Maybe he just because I have a book on Julie that I read a long time ago, and I need to read it again. But it's called Man of Two Worlds, and I'll have to reread that because I'm pretty sure Julie was just a fan of the Flash in general. I'm not sure that Julie actually edited the Flash. I can't remember how many editors were on staff at DC at the time and who was handling what. So that said, it was issue. We were thinking maybe like 136, something like that, right? Silver Age.
Yeah, it was 136 or 138. It is in the printed copy. Honestly, I don't think it's just you. I mean, you have the advantage if it's a digital to be able to get closer to it, but it's really hard to read. It's definitely. Well, what's the Mirror Master's Invincibility Bodyguard?
Yeah.
Invincible.
Yeah, it's 136. I just looked up the cover gallery. I've been looking it up on comics.org, by the way, guys. If anybody, so it's basically Grand Comic Book Database, but the URL is comics.org. I use it for a lot of things. It'll tell you the breakdowns of who did what, especially on these books that you don't see the credits given. That is number 136. Julie was the editor at the time. So let's see if he was the editor of the Atom at the time this was coming out. So this is the 1960s, and we're thinking that was early in like issue 6 or so.
Yep, 1963 this was.
What does it say? Highwaymen and the Mighty Might? Is that what that says?
Oh, hold it. Yeah, hold on. I'm back to the page. The Highwaymen and the Mighty Might. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That is issue number 6. Pencils Gil Kane, inks Murphy Anderson, script by Gardner Fox. That's interesting. Interior, hold on. Yeah, okay, so yeah. But also edited by Julie Schwartz. So yeah, Julie was handling both titles. Well, all 3 titles, Atom, Flash, and Green Lantern. So I don't see any particular reason why he wouldn't have chosen Atom. The more I research it, the more it doesn't make sense, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go back and read Man of Two Worlds again. But there's one other website we should mention because we mentioned it last time, but now it's not quite as much as a surprising reveal to you.
What are you talking about, Chad?
When we initially recorded this was really close to our coverage of Green Lantern number 3, the Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp run, of course. And what does that have to do with the comic from the 60s? Well, in a panel of Green Lantern number 3, there's a splash of quite a few different villains. You folks will remember it when you saw like Queen Bee and Agamemnon and Graven and a White Martian. There was Steppenwolf and Mongal and Overmaster and a bunch of others. Well, if you go to that same page, towards the very top row, the very top is the big guy in the cloak who we were thinking was like maybe Time Traveler. It's just the Shepherd in disguise. But the row underneath him, where there's like 3 or 4 people, there you can see some of Evil Star's Starlings. To your right of Evil Star's Starlings, there sits a Myrkid, a Mykrid, and a Boward.
That is pretty neat.
So that was very cool. Obviously, it was a much bigger surprise to Mark when because I had him like open up the comic and go find it. He's like, I'll be damned. But
golly,
golly, boy. But yeah, that's it was really cool to see that. And here's where we found this because it's such a cool site. We actually mentioned it on when we were covering, was it Green Lantern number 5? Sort of. Future referring to a past episode. There's a website out there called theshareduniverse.com, and it looks like this guy's name is Jesse Russell. And he does this site, and there's a post on here called Deep Dive the Green Lantern issue number 3, and he's done a ton of research on a lot of this stuff, and he really breaks the shit out of this comic down, man. Like he really dives deep. When we were covering issue 5, I bookmarked this site so that I could come back to it and use it anytime we have future coverage. And in Green Lantern number 5, there wasn't a ton of stuff for us to kind of call back to, other than maybe the Justice League stuff involving what was it, the
vampire? The vampire guy. Belzebeth's dad. What?
Yeah. God, what was his name? Starbreaker. Yeah. From Justice League 98 back in the 60s, but 60-ish, maybe 70s. Yeah, man, if you are reading an issue, for instance, like Green Lantern number 3, when you remember is just like super packed with a lot of stuff that you see and you know has to be a reference to something. Man, I recommend going over to the Shared Universe. I mean, Mark and I don't make money off of this thing yet. But so we have no problem. You got to get your research where you can. And this the shareduniverse.com site is pretty awesome. Mark, you bookmarked it too, right?
I have it bookmarked. The interesting thing is I have it bookmarked. The question is whether I can find the bookmark depending where I put the bookmark. So I'm going to have to bookmark it again probably. I know you sent it to me on Facebook, so that's probably where I'm going to go back and bookmark it a second time and just make it where, because I think I stuck it in the folders. It's just a matter of finding what subfolder in my bookmarks. It is, but yeah, it was cool. The way they broke that down, that was pretty impressive. We were Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not doing a deep dive here. I'm just on the first page of results from the shareduniverse.com, and all of the articles show as by Jesse Russell. There may be other people involved with this, but so far it just looks like Jesse Russell is the main dude. But don't take my word for it. It's a great site. I really enjoy it.
Yes, we went there looking to see if there were any more of those vampires.
Right, for sure.
In issue 5, if there was any more clarification on the less than the ones that were less than obvious, like the Lestat and all that, and the Morbius looking guy, and so. But when we looked at least the last time, they didn't have any. He didn't have any deep dive info on that. It didn't look like.
No, he said most of the other characters are involving from the what we do in the shadows.
that movie.
Yeah.
That movie. That's
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's it's a really great site, guys. You should definitely check it out. Lots of cool little shout outs. This guy really seems to break down stuff. I'm gonna have to look him up and see if I can follow him on Twitter or something like that. I don't see a link when you click on his name taking you to a Twitter or anything, but I'm sure I can try and hunt him down, stalking him on Twitter.
He'll be a future guest, and whether he wants to or not.
I always find a way to do that, but in one way or another, I'm gonna find you. Oh man! All right,
and that's why we're
anything
banned
else about
in 17 countries.
Is there anything else about this? Comic you want to break down?
Ever so briefly, yeah. Let's look at the fun ads that we have in here. There's really nothing sweeter than 60s and 70s comic books in there and the advertisements they have in there. Let's see, you got the self-teaching encyclopedia on the inside cover. That's pretty neat. And also back in the old days when there really weren't that many pages of ads. You got the Green Lantern's mail chute, which under different circumstances would be worth looking at, but not now. We got the Tootsie Roll Rocket. None of these are my favorites yet, but I do like the we did mention the first time going through this. I always liked when they had all the toys and all the especially because at different times they had different play sets that were limited. That sometimes some things carried on forever, and some things were just very indicative of the time period, or they kind of phased them in and out. So they have Missile Attack, which I don't remember ever seeing in the 70s, so that didn't last particularly long. As the 104 Nights, I don't remember seeing either in the 70s, as opposed to we did talk about this, the 100 Toy Soldiers packed in the Foot Locker. They made those all throughout the 70s because I definitely had at least a couple of those sets. And you like the
I like the automobiles. I don't seem to remember being super into Toy Soldiers or Knights or anything like that. Granted, obviously, I'm younger than you, so I grew up in a completely different thing where I was, my main thing was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Underdog. I don't know why Underdog, because I know Underdog is a classic cartoon. I'm sure there were reruns of it or something, or maybe my dad watched it as a kid. I don't seem to remember there being tapes though in the house. I think it was just something that was being rerun. But for me, the big things were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all the way, Denver the Last Dinosaur, Underdog, and I think that's maybe Power Rangers, but a lot of people my age are obsessed with Power Rangers, but I don't think that was my thing. I remember liking the first movie when they did the whole White Tiger Zord thing, but beyond that, I don't remember having a huge obsession with them at the time, but it was definitely big into TMNT. I did have a bunch of cars, though. I remember when the Batman movies were coming out, I want to say it was 89 Batman, but it couldn't have been because I would have only been 2. So I think it might have been Batman Returns or one of the latter films. I had some little micro machines of the Batmobile and a purple Joker van and a little metal Batwing. Where was the plane in? Was it Batman Forever?
Yes.
Okay, so it had
Well, actually, there was a plane in the Michael Keaton one too. Because that's where he gathered all the balloons up.
That's true. Maybe it was just a retro callback or something. Who knows? But it couldn't have been when the movie came out though, because there's no way I would have had a tiny little Micro Machine toy at age 2. But I do remember having lots of little toy cars. So these were cool. I like that it came in It came in a box that looks like a garage. That's cool.
Packaging is important.
And what did we say they were named? It said it was made of pure plastic styrene. So they weren't like little like metal Hot Wheels cars or anything like that, unfortunately. But it makes sense if they're some sort of pure plastic styrene or whatever that it's $147 for $249.
Yeah, they definitely had some really back in the day. They definitely had some interesting thing. Oh, there was an advertisement for Grit, that classic newspaper. I meant to mention that, and I got distracted. Sell Grit. And stamps, of course. They always used to sell stamps. In the 70s, as action figures actually started to become big, they were real big at advertising action figures. I do remember that. Whether it was Star Wars or the Migos and things like that. But I did have a lot of the toy soldiers. I did have the Roman set. I had 2 versions of the Roman set because the originals were the hard plastic that would break. And then they changed it to the softer plastic, which didn't, because I still have a complete set, including, I believe, the catapults of the newer set, because I actually got those. I got those, I think, in the early 80s, because my stepbrothers and I, we used a lot of the plastic soldiers, like the Airfix plastic soldiers, and we used to set them up and stuff. And sometimes to act as artillery, we would use the catapults from that set, just because it was random and it was a lot less noisy and a lot less messy than actually rolling something and wiping out a gazillion soldiers at once. It made it a little more random, but I definitely had those. I had a lot of the Air Sea battle ones, and I still remember the one that always got away from me was the Civil War one. I think it was the Chickamauga set that supposedly had the exploding forts and everything, that I never was able to get that. I ordered it one time back. My grandmother, I think, ordered it for me like in the 70s, but this was, I think, technically when the Vietnam War was still technically going on, I believe. So plastic was there was a shortage at the time, so I think that's the reason why that might have got wiped out. And then that was like the holy grail of those things that I never got, that I would have liked to have gotten. But that's why I kind of gravitate towards those things when I see them in these books.
All right, well, you want to go ahead and talk a bit about Endgame, huh?
Yes. Actually, as opposed to last time where we just missed the trailer, right, or whatever it was, that we just missed it, right? Isn't that what happened? When we did the Captain Marvel,
right.
I think we were one day off. That at least today, we were actually, the timing was really good, because today was the day, as we're recording this on Tuesday, the 2nd, that the Endgame tickets went on sale. So I got my special event, the fan event tickets.
And the internet broke, apparently.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm not. It seems like around here that they don't blow out as quickly. I did notice that tonight. I did notice that the 7 o'clock showing on Thursday, the 2D showing, the 7 o'clock Thursday night showing on the 25th is sold out. I'm not sure if anything else did, but during the day, nothing sold out. But I wanted to get the fan event. I wanted to get the fan event, which starts at 5 o'clock, and that's the one that gives you it gives you the soda and the popcorn combo, and you get the collector's coins and everything. So I got my tickets, but because Marvel is the gift that keeps on giving, they also released a special look, which essentially counts as a third trailer, and hopefully the last trailer, hopefully the last new footage, because we don't need to see anymore. That's not.
I'm sure we'll get it some TV spots.
We might get, I know we're going to get TV spots. I just hope we don't get any significant new footage in the TV spots. because they don't need it. This movie's going to do buku money. It doesn't need it, and we don't need anything spoiled. Like we keep going back to Ultron. They did the wrong approach with Ultron. They don't need to do this. Everything they've shown has been good. What they've done has been excellent. I think the Super Bowl commercial was the weakest of what they've done so far. But considering how short it was, you can't say it was horrible. But to me, it wasn't as effective as the first trailer, as the Whatever It Takes trailer that we just got like 2 weeks ago, or whatever, give or take, maybe 3 weeks ago, and this, which probably is the most effective overall. But we don't.
I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, we just don't need to see more footage because we don't need any more of the movie really spoiled. That's the way I
Yeah, I didn't get any tickets. As you guys know, I always get the hookup with my various friends over at Alamo Drafthouse, and with a movie this big, there's just absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get a free ticket to go see it on opening weekend. I guess it's possible, maybe, but I really doubt it. So I'll probably have to see it the weekend after, or maybe during the week after the initial. Like maybe I'll go like on a Tuesday night after work or something. Who the hell knows? To go see it or something like that. We'll see. So I definitely won't be able to see it opening weekend. I'll probably be like seeing Shazam this weekend. We recently changed shifts at my job to, instead of working 8 hours a day Monday through Friday, people have various shifts so that we're always in the office at some point. And I'm actually I got lucky and got the Monday through Thursday shift, so I work 7:30 to 6:30 Monday through Thursday, and I get every Friday, Saturday, Sunday off now. So that's kind of catch-22, getting used to a new shift, but also get 3 days off in a row. My birthday's on the 6th, which is Saturday. So hopefully I'll be able to go see Shazam. I'm hearing great things about it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to see Endgame opening weekend. It just from the buzz, from the way like various Fandango sites and things like that were just crashing. It just sounds like it's too big for me to finagle a free ticket opening weekend to go see it.
But we'll see. You never know.
That's true. So we're over on the Marvel Studios, or rather Marvel Entertainment YouTube page. Its official title is Marvel Studios Avengers Endgame Special Look. It is a 1 minute even video, and we're starting at the 000 mark. You want to hit play?
I'm going to hit play. Ready?
All right.
If we do this, we'd be going in short-handed.
Yeah, you mean because he killed all our friends?
We owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
It's not about how much we lost. It's about how much we have left. We're the Avengers. We gotta finish this. You trust me? I do. You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Tickets on sale now.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously a lot to talk about here. I don't want to say a lot because you and I have gone over this quite a bit.
But there is a lot for a
forms.
minute. There's actually a lot of stuff to unpack for a minute, I think.
Right. One of the just the small things I noticed, that scene with Natasha in the rain. I'm pretty sure that takes place after she, either right before she or right after she finds Hawkeye.
Yep, I agree.
Because it looks like it's taking place in like a little Japanese sort of the architecture of that area that she's in looks like Japanese sort of a thing, and we know of course Ronin is what he's called and everything. Here's what I'm wondering: is that scene where Captain Marvel and Rocket are piloting the ship, and everyone else is in there.
Which is the scene I just forwarded to, yes.
Tony's not there,
Neither's
and
Nebula.
neither's Nebula, and it makes me wonder if either A, they're on their way to rescue, or B, they're on their way to confront Thanos and find Tony along the way. Like, it makes me wonder if this confrontation, or maybe we have more than one confrontation with Thanos, happens like early in the film, and either the conversation doesn't go well, or they try and fight him again and that doesn't go, whatever the case may be, and then they come up with the whole quantum realm stuff, which is why that time passage thing is happening, because it makes it seem like that is something that happens like midway through the movie, not towards the end.
Well, to me, the real clue, and that's the reason why. But good call, by the way, because that was even though there's other stuff we want to talk about, that's the scene that I actually wanted to forward to and pause. The real clue this takes place early in the movie is the fact that Natasha's got short blonde hair.
Yeah.
That indicates that it happens relatively shortly after the snap. You don't see Scott in that scene either, I believe.
No.
Which means, again, more indicative if it happens right after the snap, because we know Captain Marvel shows up shortly after the snap. So wherever they're going, whether they're going to confront Thanos, whatever they're doing, I think this scene, as good trailers do, they cut a bunch of things in that make you, that if you don't break it down, I mean, obviously you can break it down too much and it could be edited in CGI to confuse you. But based on the things that we're seeing, the only thing that's confusing is it looks very similar to the Guardian ship, right? That's what makes that the interior anyway. But no matter what, it looks like this is pre-Nebula, pre-Tony coming back, pre-Scott coming back. That's what it looks like because of who's in this scene. You just have everybody who we saw at the end of Infinity War. The Avengers we know existed at the end of Infinity War, plus Captain Marvel, who showed up, except for Banner. And Banner would make sense that he wouldn't be going, because if this is relatively shortly after the snap, whatever deal he ends up whatever agreement merging that ends up between him and the Hulk's personality probably hasn't had time to happen yet. So taking Banner would be pointless, because he would pretty much be useless in a fight. He would pretty much be useless at this stage. So if Banner isn't there, unless he's also helping coordinate them wherever they're going back from the headquarters, it would make sense.
Let me interrupt. Maybe Banner, because remember when Ant-Man shows up, Natasha, when Cap's saying, "Is this old footage?" she still has her short blonde hair. So I'm wondering if Banner stays behind with Scott as, to sort of work on the technology that's there.
True. That's a good point.
as Plan B.
That is a very, very good, very strong possibility that Bruce could be trying to unlock the tech. But I would absolutely say that yes, this is from the beginning of the movie. I would say this is from the relatively early on in the beginning of the movie, and if I had to bet, yes, pre-Nebula and Tony coming back. Wherever they're going. They may not be going to fight Thanos. They could be, but they may not be. That's one of the things I wanted.
Here's why I think they're on their way to fight Thanos rather than rescue Tony, because Captain Marvel's there. Why would she be going with them on a mission to rescue Tony?
Oh, I'm not the one who's put this rescuing Tony theory out there. Don't forget you.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I'm just saying that was a possibility. You're the one who threw that out there as the two choices. I think there's other choices, but those are the most. But yeah, they could be going to confront. And that would make sense. Just like at the end of this trailer, the narration by Thanos, I think, is also misleading. The narration, I think, has nothing to do with the scene that we're seeing. If I had to bet what that narration really means, he may be speaking in general terms, but I think he's directing it towards Thor specifically. That's who I think he's aiming. Thor may not be the only one confronting him, but I think the digs in what he's saying applies directly more to Thor, since we know Thor's the one who could have killed him and stopped him, but Thor fucked up. Pardon my and a little bit of the old Thor arrogance got in the way when he could have finished him off, and he didn't. So I think that's who I think it applies across the board theoretically. It's one of those things that can be applied to everybody. But I think specifically it's being aimed at Thor. I think he's saying it more to Thor whenever it takes place. Thor is the guy he could, if Tony happens to be there in the scene, if it really does come from the scene at the end of the trailer when we see at least the main three Avengers squaring off, which we assume it'll be more because that scene we talked about in the previous trailer from Nebula has to take place wherever they are. That's the scene where Nebula is too, because that's the same background. That's the same planet, but it's being destroyed and everything. Which I happen to think is Xandar. I think it's Xandar.
Well, plus when Tony, Cap, and Thor are walking up to Thanos there in that final shot, they're in their costumes, not in their quantum realm suits.
Yes, but we also don't know how the quantum realm suits work, whether there's any nanotech involved in what he does and how he builds that in. And there's any ability to change costumes, especially if you're going back in time. And if some of the things, unless there was all misdirection, we've seen different scenes we've seen scenes on set of Cap in his Avengers uniform. We've seen him. I think there was footage of him wearing the Winter Soldier uniform. Unless that's all misdirection, the reality is maybe some of the tech that's built in is that it can go back and forth. Do
you think it's like? Because we keep saying time travel. What about alternate universe, a universe where, this hasn't happened yet, it's all starting to go down, that sort of a thing, and they sort of jump into that time stream.
They could do that, but again, the danger with the concept is that you are completely playing God with somebody else's timeline. But it's possible. But the only thing everything points to time travel mostly. Excuse me, because we know Janet referred to it as time vortexes, not dimensional vortexes, but it's open to interpretation. We don't entirely know what that means. We're not going to know until the thing that again points not to it being maybe multi timelines, multi universes is Scott does get out and end up back in our time. So unless we find out that Scott ends up in multiple, not just different times, but ends up in different timelines, different like multiverses, if you will. Unless we find that out, the fact that he makes his way back into ours ends up kind of like coming out in the future from where he went in. But yeah, we don't really know 100%. Now there are some things in the trailer, like we see Tony and it looks like his Avengers armor, the original Avengers armor. So, and like I said, we don't know where the Tony Cap handshake is taking place. It does look like it's the Battle of New York. May not be. It certainly looks like it's New York. But that could be a hint of something that happens in the quantum realm. And I do think the scene of all of them confronting Thanos in his armor, I think that's probably on Xandar. We know Thanos had his armor on when we first see Thanos in Infinity War. He's got his armor on, but he's dealing with Thor. He still has his armor on. And we know he was in Xandar shortly before that, because Thor even knew that, either because either they had gotten the information or Thanos told them that when he attacked the ship. But Thanos knew it enough. But Thor knew it enough to tell the Guardians that he had already had the Power Stone because he devastated Xandar. And there have been one of the most consistent rumors, for what it's worth, is that we're going to see a battle of Xandar, because that's one of the places in time that they try to get the Power Stone from. So I would not be surprised if that scene, that devastated world, is Xandar. It could be anything, but I'm kind of that wouldn't, if that's the case, obviously that wouldn't be them confronting a Thanos that knows. He may know of them because the way he obviously knew Tony before he even faced off with Tony, so I'm sure he knows Thor. But he doesn't have the experience with them, while they have the experience with him. But that scene, the way they ended that was awesome. With seeing Tony, Cap, and the big three walking up, basically about to take on Thanos. That was pretty cool. Though some people, it's funny watching some of the trailer reactions. Some people completely. It's kind of funny. It's just funny how the mind works. Just like people, I saw some reactions like, "Is that Doctor Strange?" It's like people completely forgot that Thor's cape obviously is red. And it's been red since the first time we saw him. Forget about the comic books. It's been red in the MCU, and plus that's the whole impact of that scene is the fact that it's the big three Avengers side by side, which, to be perfectly honest, we really haven't gotten much of, if any, on all these movies. They've fought each other. When we first see them all interacting together, they're fighting each other. And we see moments of them side by side doing a few things, but usually in the big group. But we've never really seen the three of them. And that doesn't mean we're going to see it in the movie either for more than a second. But there's just the three of them fighting side by side. That's one of the pet peeves I've always had, is much like they never really developed Tony and Steve's relationship until the Russos came along and actually developed it as he was deconstructing it. We never really got to see much of the Thor-Cap relationship. Speaking of which, do you think they're going to make it that Stormbreaker, you have to be worthy to wield Stormbreaker too?
Yes.
So you think that? But the natural follow-up question to that is, if we never get to see Cap wield Mjolnir, do you think we'll get to see him wield Stormbreaker?
Yes. Some sort of Cap wielding should happen. I think the Russos know enough to know we would feel cheated if we didn't get Avengers Assemble and some sort of Cap wielding there's a bunch of things where fans will be like, "Oh, this didn't happen. I'm sure there's going to be people out there upset that Drax didn't play a pivotal role in Thanos' demise, if that ends up being the case, which it seems likely it wouldn't. But there are certain things that I think everybody sort of agrees on, that we need an Avengers Assemble, and then we need Cap wielding something to be, either Mjolnir or Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker, as far as I remember, worked the same way for Beta Ray Bill as Mjolnir did for Thor. So I would. Are you all right there?
Yeah, I was
Mike's
adjusting.
okay?
Yeah, I was adjusting. My headset moved a little, so I was trying to get it more comfortable. Sorry.
Yeah. Stormbreaker, as far as I remember in the comics, worked the same way for Beta Ray Bill as Mjolnir did for Thor. It's been a long time since I read some Thor comics. I got a bunch of digital stuff on my tablet, like some old Beta Ray Bill stuff, and actually even some old Thunderstrike stuff when that was a thing. I'm sitting here looking at my shelf, and I'm looking at that Thor JMS Straczynski omnibus, and it's just like, man, I really want to read some good Thor, and I know that's probably my favorite run of Thor ever, and I gotta read that. I gotta reread that because that's such great stuff. I miss reading Thor in comics. Right now my Marvel focus is like super high on Gambit and Venom right now, but I miss reading some good Thor stuff, which is good, I guess, because doesn't Marvel have that War of the Realms or something coming up, right? Yeah. That's their big event.
Yeah, that's going on now. Don't go too far off in tangent, Phil Chad.
No, that was just sort of me trailing off because I don't have much else to say about this. I told Mark via Facebook Messenger that I just. I've been sort of lackluster about a lot of things this year, including, the Game of Thrones returning. As we get closer to it, I'm, a little more excited, but maybe it's just the time gap between that making me not as excited as I would be for a normal season of Game of Thrones. Maybe I'm burned out on Marvel. I don't know. I was definitely excited for Endgame. It's just I wasn't like super hyped for Endgame any more than your standard Marvel movie, and maybe a little more than your standard Marvel movie, just because it is an Avengers movie as opposed to just yet another Marvel movie. But I didn't really feel any particular really high intensity hype for it. That sort of changed with this trailer. I'm still not freaking out. I'm not one of the ones who was like. I'm obviously going to wait until I can get my free ticket to go see it. I'm not going to rush out and try and buy it, but I'm excited to see what happens, and it's fun to speculate. But I'm definitely more invested now that I've seen this special look.
The Rocket Nebula hand holding was sweet.
Yeah.
That was because you're literally dealing with two characters that have lost, which is probably why Thor and Rocket get along so well too. That you're dealing with characters that have pretty much lost everything. Not that Nebula had a lot, but the only thing she really had, I guess, was Gamora. But the fact that, you know, kind of like misery loves company here, the fact that they've lost everything. So I think that was, in a way, that's more touching to me than the Pepper Tony reunion, which we kind of knew was happening. So, but I think that, and obviously that takes place in the evening, so you would have to that scene Pepper and Tony in the evening, so that kind of would coincide with the belief that we had that when everybody runs out onto the lawn at the Avengers headquarters or whatever to look, that's because Nebula and Tony's ship is coming in.
Right.
Let's see. There's a couple other around the 27-second mark. Who do you? There are a couple of Avengers who are not present in that scene. So who do you think that everybody is looking at? It was because really Thor and or Hulk / Banner are the main two, are the only two, right, that are really not there, other than Captain Marvel. So it would have to be Captain Marvel, Thor, or the Hulk / Banner showing up and doing something. Maybe.
Well, no, Natasha's hair is red and longer.
Well, I don't mean Captain Marvel first arriving, but I just mean.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably the Hulk, I would guess, based on if you had to go on circumstantial evidence based on, yes, how long her hair. Actually, her hair looks like it could be in between at that point. It looks like they could still be blonde.
No, it's not. No, her hair is red on the top and it's blonde at the tip. It's long and red. It's just in a ponytail. You can see it sitting on her shoulder. Yeah, I don't. It could be Banner rushing into the room saying, "Hey, I figured it out," but then why wouldn't Tony be with him, trying to figure out the quantum realm tech?
I'm not thinking quantum realm. I'm thinking that they could be looking at whatever the Hulk and Banner have become, the merger or something. Because it seems to be whatever's going on is grabbing their attention. So either they're watching something on a screen. But that's just pure. It's just speculation based on who's not in the room. Okay, Captain Marvel, Thor, and the Hulk are not in the room. Well,
yeah, nobody seems to be jumping to their feet, and even Hawkeye's like sort of, it's not coy, it's not shy, but he's just sort of. You can tell he's sort of depressed or something because he's kind of rubbing his arm and looking over his shoulder. So whatever is happening is not like shocking to the group. Everybody stands up to see what's going on, but it doesn't seem to be worthy of leaping to my feet and seeing what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it doesn't see. Certainly doesn't look panic-inducing.
Yeah.
But it is. But that is one of the curious parts of the trailer because obviously everybody seems to be reunited at this point. So the question is what they could be, and the thing that's still, and let's see, what are the other key parts of this? We already talked about them flying in the ship, which looks like it's earlier in the movie.
You know what? Actually, the 27-second mark. You know what I wonder if this is? You know who we haven't talked about? Who maybe didn't get snapped? Thunderbolt. Maybe Thunderbolt's coming to them asking them to, get off your depression high horse and save us.
Yeah, that's assuming he has become realistic enough to stop his vendetta against Cap's team, which is the majority of the Avengers at this point.
Well, that's true, but there have been plenty of times in the comics where the stakes are high enough where Thunderbolt sets aside his shit.
Yeah, I know, but you're right. That's assuming that. Yeah, it would not be shocking based on the way the scene is framed if they're watching something on a screen or something.
Yeah.
If you look at Tony's reaction, Ant-Man's reaction, yeah, it is interesting. And Rhodey's obviously starting to move in position to get a better look at around the 27-second mark and carried forward. So they are watching something. The question is what, and Nebula's still wearing. She's still wearing her old. Well, I'm trying to figure out what Rocket's wearing because Rocket looks like is that a quantum realm suit?
No, it's maybe just something he has.
It could be. I'm going to say, because it does look like this is this is probably pre-Quantum Realm, but hard to tell because, again, Natasha's hair is longer, and even though, again, I think it is red, but I do think there's some blonde tips, like you said. There's some highlights in there, so I think she's not as red as she completely gets, because it looks like this. It almost looks like she has 3 different hairstyles in this movie: the short blonde, the growing it out in between red and into blonde, and then I think more red. Or almost.
No, I don't think there's a full. I don't think there's a full red. She still has the blonde tips because the blonde tip at the end because just as you told me yesterday, you bought some of the Avengers Endgame pops.
Oh,
the Natasha one in her Quantum Realm suit does have a blonde tip on her hair.
Which is odd. So that's another thing that makes you wonder about the time travel then, because if depending on where they're going, it depends. See, that's the other thing too. They may not all be going to the same place together, and because the only reason that she would have to look alike would be if she's trying to fool somebody else back in that time frame to make them think that this is the current her. If that's not what her role is, then she doesn't really have to necessarily look 100% identical. So that's like if they're going, so that, yeah, a lot of that's part of the mystery. It is also interesting if we really still have only seen footage from like the first 20 minutes of the movie, which it kind of makes you think that we haven't. The stuff with the big 3 going against Thanos, that does not seem like it would be in the first 20 minutes of the movie, just because that's a lot to cram into the first 20 minutes. Because you still got to get Tony and Nebula back, and especially if this is actually involving something in the quantum realm, that's a whole lot to get done. I don't see how that's really possible that all that could be in the first 20 minutes of the movie. So, but this is I think I like the last trailer a little bit better. I mean, this trailer has some cool stuff in it. It has the Tony Cap moment, which probably did not need to be in this trailer. I guess some would say that that's something that should have been held off for the movie. I guess the counter to that would be, it's going to take place, so it's not really much of a surprise if you see it. You're expecting to see it. If you saw Cap wielding Stormbreaker, that would be a surprise. That would be something you shouldn't be seeing until the movie. But Tony and Cap have to come to some understanding because they have to. That's the whole point of them. That's really the whole point of the movie is that all the pieces are being put back together, but the way it's going to be done is because the Avengers are coming back together. That part of the reason if the subliminal message sent is part of the reason why they lost, not necessarily the only reason why, is because they were splintered and they were fractured. Kind of going back to Cap's words to begin with about we do it together, and if we lose, then we do that together too. The idea that that's not what happened. They didn't fight together. They didn't stand together. They basically stood apart, and that's part of the reason why, if not the only reason why they lost. So this movie is about the opposite. Just how even the little logo is, how everything, the ashes and everything's coming back together into one piece. And I don't mind the Captain Marvel stuff. So far, it looks like her role in this movie is, we don't know much, but as long as she's not the one that kills Thanos, I'm not going to have a huge issue with it. Even if for God's sake, which I don't want, but even if they end up getting an Infinity Gauntlet and she's the one who has to wield it to set everything back, I know most people don't want that. I'm not saying I want it. I'd be okay with it as long as she's not the one that... Thor, I think, should be the one that kills Thanos. I think based on the story arc we've seen, he's the one who should be killing Thanos, since he's the one who's haunted by his missed opportunity. So if he has another chance, especially if it's a chance in the past, where Thanos never even said those words to him that you should have gone for the head, but Thor knows it. It definitely should come down to Tony, Steve, and Thor as the ones who actually, if Thanos dies, that's how they should be the one killed.
Well, I think we're all pretty agreed that Cap dies at some point, but
But they are showing us that they are hinting at that so much.
Well, yeah, right. But what I was going to say is, if I think we're all pretty much on agreement that Cap dies, but does Cap die as a result of his actions going to either kill Thanos or something? Does he die in battle, or does he die in sacrifice? Because I'm pretty sure it makes much more sense if Cap dies in sacrifice somehow.
Well, it could be a combination of both, depending what that sacrifice is. One of the rumors, and I think we talked about this before. One of the rumors about this movie was that when they go, it actually has to do with the Xandar thing. That somehow Cap sacrifices himself so the others can get that. Their attempt to get the Power Stone on Xandar fails, and the Avengers are in trouble. But Cap sacrifices himself to allow everybody else to escape, to basically have another shot to try again, to try to get another stone or whatever. So there is a rumor and that's all that could be, is just a rumor. But if that scene we see of that battle of that planet that they're fighting on turns out to be Xandar, that does certainly give a lot of more credence to that theory, because you certainly could believe that's Cap's final battle. It could be. Doesn't mean it would be, but we've seen scenes from that. We've seen snippets from that scene before in other trailers. So so he could die in battle, but he also could be sacrificing himself so everybody else can get away. The thing that's still weird to me is it still has to. We have to get an answer. We don't, but it's going to be a major plot hole. Is that still comes back down to every single one of the characters that had the Wanda Hex visions has had their vision come to pass, but not Cap, because Cap's had to do with basically an alternate timeline in which he got to dance with Peggy after the war, which obviously was never possible for multiple reasons in his real timeline. So to me, something has to be done with that. Whether they go back
unless it takes place in the Soul Stone.
It could. That's true.
Like yes. He sacrifices himself. They decide to then go after the Soul Stone because their attempt at the Power Stone failed because, at that point in time, Thanos doesn't know where the Soul Stone is. So with Nebula there at their side, they go after the Soul Stone, and after the victory, we get one final goodbye to Cap. Tony, maybe everybody who the hell knows is seeing things via the Soul Stone, and that's how we get, one final shot of Tony smiling as he's dancing, or not Tony, Steve smiling as he's dancing with Peggy off into the Soul Stone mists.
Yeah, they could do that, and I would not be unhappy with that. I would only be unhappy if we don't get that plot point touched upon, because, like I said, it is glaring that it is because to begin with it was weird. This is why I don't think it was a throwaway thing. It was the fact that everybody else saw the future or they saw their past. Cap didn't see it either, because technically he saw an alternate version of the past, something that never took place. So I would be okay if that's how they resolve it, and that would be the other way I could see Cap dying, is that yes. But I also could see Nebula sacrificing herself for the Soul Stone too, whether it was to maybe try to get Gamora out of it and to get the stone. I don't know, but I could. But yeah, I could. Plus, let's be honest: if they're using the quantum realm and they're going back in time, it would be cool to go back to get Cap to be involved in getting the Soul Stone, because he and the Red Skull would have their reunion. Because the Red Skull will still be the guardian of the stone if you're going back in time, because no one had gotten it yet. So I don't know. Maybe to wrap this up, maybe we should just take the guesses of who we think's going to live and die out of the characters now. And this can be our let me get a piece of paper. This can be our final prognostication about who lives and dies of the major characters, of course. Let me just make a column for you and me. You ready?
Yeah, I think Cap's dead.
If I had to bet, I'm going to say Cap's dead too. I mean, I know they are really amping up in the trailers to increase the danger, which makes you wonder possibly if it's a red herring. But if I had to, I would certainly say of the big three, he's the most likely to die. Thor.
Still stays around.
I agree.
I don't think Hemsworth is done with that character.
I don't, and I think I think based on how popular his character has become and how powerful that character is. Plus, we also don't know what the state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be. Like, is Asgard back? Things like that. We don't know what's going to happen when the timeline or whatever gets altered. When the new status quo it goes into effect. So either way, yes, I agree. What about Tony?
I don't think Tony's done. I think Tony may retire, but I don't think Tony's done because I don't. Downey loves this character too much, and maybe he's going to take a much more reduced role, or he could step away from it entirely. I don't know him well enough, in terms of his thought process and everything, but this character means so much to him in terms of, we all remember what Downey went through in his personal life before being cast as Iron Man. This sort of helped bring him back and give him something to hang on to. So I don't think he's done being sort of the shepherd of the Marvel universe. He probably will be done in terms of no more Iron Man films and no more like central spotlight on Iron Man. But I could see him becoming like a Nick Fury sort of cameo character in a few bigger films down the line.
Tony's the toughest one for me to figure. It would make sense from a financial perspective that they would want to keep his character around anyway, because they know he's popular. He has ties to so many other characters, and it would be good to be able to bring him back, obviously. The thing that points in real life to him maybe dying, although you could get away with it under the scope of retiring too, is that he is older. He's pretty much the oldest one of this group. He's in his 50s, I think, now. Even though yes, they're doing a lot more CGI now than they did when he first started doing the roles. This is a tough one. It really is a tough one. So,
well, because Tony in the comics, I mean, granted, this was during Civil War for the most part, but like Tony was director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a little while too. Of course, at the time he was still doing his Iron Man thing, but I could see him taking like a supervisory sort of a role, or being the face of the Avengers while not actually being an Avenger, that sort of a thing, fighting for the right of the heroes to operate in the open, whatever it is they're doing. So a reduced capacity role, but still there, still being like a focal figure for the heroes.
I'm going to hedge my bets and circle back to Tony, because obviously more than one Avenger has to die, I think. I don't think it can just be Cap. So I think we're both in agreement that we think Ant-Man lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think so too. I don't think they're done with that character. What about the Hulk? I'm betting live on especially if we're getting...
Yeah, I live for sure.
Yeah, especially no matter whether we're getting just Professor Hulk, World Breaker Hulk, whatever version of the Hulk we get, I think it would kind of be a ways to go to give us that character and then kill him off in the same movie. So I agree. Hawkeye, I'm going to say dies.
I'd agree with that.
War Machine's a tough one because it really literally could go either way. You can't imagine War Machine and Tony are going to die. So it's probably I could see them both living. I can't see them both dying. I'm going to say live.
I'm going to say War Machine dies.
I think Black Widow, we both agree will live. Not just because she's having a spin-off.
Well, it could be a prequel. There's so much we don't know about her past already that it could definitely be a prequel. And they have never touched on the fact. I mean, obviously in the comics, isn't both Natasha and Fury old characters? Okay. They both somehow benefited from the Super Soldier project.
I believe that is correct.
Obviously, Fury is not a part of that in this universe, but it's very unlikely. But Natasha could be as well.
All right, so obviously we don't need to talk about Captain Marvel because we assume that's not even up for debate.
She's the new wave.
Oh, Nebula. Do we both think Nebula dies?
I agree she dies.
Yeah, I agree she dies too. Oh, Rocket, I think we both agree lives.
Yes.
So is there anybody that we missed? Cap. I have to go back to Iron Man, but we did Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Hulk, Hawkeye, War Machine, Black Widow, Nebula, Rocket. That is everybody, right?
Pretty sure.
Let's see. I say
Tony lives.
I know you did. I'm still debating. I'm gonna say dies, but I'm putting an asterisk. That's the one I'm not very confident. Of all my deaths, that's the one I'm the least confident about. They could very easily kill him because of the fact that because a lot of people might think that just because he was Doctor Strange spared him since he needed to be alive, they might think that he needed to be alive all the way through to the end of however things play out, when that might not be the case. He just may need to be alive for a certain part of it. So
I also think Scarlet Witch is back, Vision is back.
Black Panther's back.
Black for sure. Loki.
Back.
I think Loki's back.
I don't. I think Loki's dead.
I think he's back. And then
I didn't do that list. Okay, so Loki.
Well, we agree on everything except Loki.
You think Loki's back, and I think he's still dead. Gamora is going to be back somehow, I believe. Somebody, but see, here's the thing. Somebody has to.
All the Guardians can't survive.
I still think it'd be appropriate to keep Drax dead, especially now that the gun's back. It'd be that big FU to him. Okay, guess what? You got what you wanted, but you're not in the movie. Well, and the other thing is, some people have to be dead from the original, from Infinity War, because we were told that some of those deaths have to matter, and they mattered. So not all of them can be snapped away. I guess Gamora could be dead. I can do it. So you said she's dead, right?
Gamora?
Unless Nebula can sacrifice, maybe you can sacrifice yourself to get somebody out of the Soul Stone. Nebula would probably do that at this point.
Right.
I'm still going to say she's alive. And yes, Scarlet Witch, yes, she's alive. Vision, I'm not. See, technically speaking, the Vision they could probably recreate even without turning back the clock. I'll be curious to see actually if we see the Vision's body at the Avengers headquarters, because you would think they would bring him back with them. You don't think they would just friggin' leave him in Wakanda? But we also, yeah, I'm gonna say Vision's probably gonna end up alive. We know Black Panther.
Bucky and Falcon.
I say they both are alive.
Yeah. Just because someone's got to pick up Cap's shield, and I don't know who I'd like to see do it more. I'd be okay with. I'm equally okay with either stepping into the role.
I would, based on how we've seen them represented on the screen, you'd want it to be. To me, I think Falcon would be better, but Bucky's the one who did it first, and Bucky's the one who's actually got the super soldier blood in his veins, the serum. So as cool as Sam is, he has no superpowers. So that is kind of a problem. Not that you can't work around it, because Black Widow technically doesn't have any superpowers either. But we assume Shuri will be alive. Yeah, and Doctor Strange obviously will be alive.
Oh yeah. Just because we're absolutely getting Doctor Strange 2, we're absolutely getting Black Panther 2. There's no way it's not happening.
And as we wrap this up, will you at least agree that on the surface, tentatively, I have won our non-official bet that Shuri's actually dead, based on those posters that came out last week?
Right, but there were three possibilities. Either A, she died in the snap. B, she died in that fight with what's his name when he knocked her down or whatever. Or she died some other way in between at in between Endgame or in between. Or she could have died after the snap. Obviously, the most likely is that she died. It's obvious she's gone, but how she's gone, I'm still not convinced she's gone because of the snap.
I'll give you credit for hanging on there, Chad.
Yeah,
it is possible. It is, to me, the only other possibility is that, yes, I don't think that was a killing shot that she took. But, because don't forget, she got kind of knocked around even in Black Panther as well. The reality is, yes, she could have died possibly from the wounds or whatever, but I don't think she died. If she didn't die from the snap, she didn't die, period. But we know, but it's pretty much been confirmed with those posters that she's one of the fallen. So I think she died with the snap. But she's gone. She's dead. Now she won't stay dead, but yeah, but she's a goner. Those posters were interesting too, all of those. But yeah, so the good news is, but about what, almost 3 weeks away now, right? Give or take.
Yeah.
And this month will fly by because Shazam will be coming out. And Game of Thrones starts in less than 2 weeks. Like a week and a half almost. It's almost Wednesday, so yeah, almost a week and a half. So that'll be cool. So yeah, April's got a lot of stuff. So April's going to be quite an interesting month.
And then Godzilla's just around the corner.
Yep, that will be probably the next really big one, I would assume. That'll be quite interesting.
Would you say it'd be kaiju sized?
I'm going to assume so. Yes.
All right. You want to tell people how they can reach us?
LanternCast.com. The email is lanterncast@gmail.com. We are on iTunes and Stitcher, so whichever platform you listen to us on, please leave us a positive review. We are on Facebook, Twitter, #GeoCast to locate us on those. And 708 Lantern is the voicemail. So let us know what you think.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.